So a couple years ago when Belichick beat Sean McVay, McVay came out a week later and said, I overcoached. I put too much on our plate. And it's interesting, Jimmy, this is the only time you get 2 weeks. Outside of the opening week of the season, you get 2 weeks here. Is there a danger, go to your experience, where you start to outthink yourself a little bit?
Well, one thing we wanted to do, Colin, is the first week we got all the physical work in, and we got in about 80% of our game plan, but we saved some of the wrinkles for the second week. We didn't want our players to get bored with the game plan. We wanted them to be alert that second week, so we saved 20% of our game plan that second week getting ready for the Super Bowl.
You know, Andy Reid has the best record in the NFL off a bye. And I've always felt the better the coach, the better he is with more time to prepare. Some coaches don't know what they're doing, and you give them 3 weeks, they don't know. Andy Reid off a bye. If you're Bill Belichick, are you sitting there this morning thinking, okay, he's going to throw in stuff we've never seen? Do you think Belichick's thinking that?
Well, I think, first of all, I believe in Andy Reid with his accolades, the way he is after a bye, but I'm also going to throw accolades your way and Joy's way for your recognition. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
But Andy Reid's one of the great coaches of the NFL in history, and like you say, if you give him enough time, he's going to have them ready. And with the talent that they have, it's going to be a heck of a ball game. I'm concerned about the offensive tackles, for Kansas City, because Tampa, they've got that outside rush, but it should be a great ball game.
So last year, it was you. I thought about this during the break. Before the draft last year, you said Detroit should go get a quarterback, Justin Herbert. You got a lot of heat for that. But it's funny.
I got ripped, Colin. I was on your show. I said, hey, quarterback value. You'd rather have the quarterback like a Justin Herbert, rather than a defensive back. Well, as it turned out, people were ripping me right and left saying, hey, we've got Stafford. We don't need another quarterback. We got other needs. They drafted the defensive back, Okua, and he didn't play that well. How would they look right now with the quarterback already with a rookie salary cap, and they could have traded Stafford, to, say, Carolina, and actually got more than what they got from the Rams?
It's interesting, Jimmy. You created a trade chart. People did not trade before you were. They didn't. The Giants had made one trade ever before you came to Dallas and changed the paradigm of the league. That trade chart, which shows value, what a picks mean, is still used today. So when I look at the Rams, they gave up 6 picks to get Goff and 3 to get rid of him. I imagine on your trade chart, that's not the way it works. They gave up too much?
Well, the only thing is, see, I always discounted a pick if you had the year. So in essence, that number 1 is going to probably be a late number 1. Since they have the use of the player, it would be a 2. And then the pick, the 1, 2 years from now, that's going to be like a 2. Now, Detroit doesn't care because they're not going to win this year anyway. And so those ones will be valuable when they start to win, when they start bringing in players. So you really look at what the Rams gave up. They gave up a decent 2 and a 3, and this year's 3.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson.
And they got rid of a bad contract on top of that.
Yeah, well, they're going to get some cap hit this year, but over time, you're right. It is a bad contract over time. So Deshaun Watson is literally scrubbed his social media. He doesn't even want to talk about the Houston Texans. Jimmy, I know he's good. But if John Gruden called me and gave me Derek Carr, 4 first-round picks, and tight end Darren Waller, I got to be honest with you. There's something that would get me to trade Deshaun Watson, right? Like, would you take the calls?
There's a price on everything, but I would go down every single avenue as far as keeping Watson, because if they don't have Watson, he's more valuable than Stafford. He's more valuable than what Herschel Walker was to us. Yeah, a franchise quarterback that's young, that's got a decent contract once they get rid of the deferred bonus money. Hey, he would be one of the top players in the league, and you don't replace that. Houston got no shot if they don't have Watson.
Yeah, that's interesting. I want to go back to the Super Bowl. You know Bill. You fish with Bill. You spend time with Bill. You go back to these Super Bowls, and they've never scored a touchdown in the first quarter. It's very funny. He very much feels out the game, which is an interesting perspective. I grew up watching and idolizing Muhammad Ali. Muhammad was not a guy that came out and knocked people out in the first round. He always felt the fight. He framed the fight. What am I dealing with here? Go back to your Super Bowls. Bill Walsh, he got on top of you. He'd script those plays and get on top of you. How did you view the first quarter of the Super Bowl? Did you cautious, aggressive? Where'd you go?
It really depended on the opponent. You know, when we look at, like, let's say the NFC Championship game, my first Super Bowl run, the 49ers were a better football team than us. You know, I fully expected they were going to be stacking it up for Emmitt Smith running the football. We came out throwing the ball all over the field, hit a deep one to Alvin Harper, throwing it to Michael Irvin, and then we started running late. You know, whereas against Buffalo in the Super Bowl, you know, I knew they were going to turn the ball over, so I wasn't going to give them a chance. We were going to be very conservative. I told the players the night before the game, we're going to be extremely conservative to start the game off. But we'll be fine. We'll open it up later on. We'll wait until they start turning it over, then we'll open it up.
How about that?
It just depends on the opponent, Colin.
Yeah. Your gut feeling. I just kind of have a feeling, Jimmy, Kansas City doesn't have to play flawless to win. I think if Tom had a couple of picks, it's not good news. That's my gut feeling this morning. You?
Yeah. If I had to pick the game, and I don't want to pick it, and I think it's a coin toss, I really do, because I think the pass rush, you know, for the Buccaneers could give, you know, Mahomes some problems. But if I had to pick the thing, I'd say Kansas City kicking a field goal in overtime. All
right. Oh, God, I got hope for that. By the way, Michelob Ultra just pre-released a Super Bowl commercial that asks an interesting question. Are you happy because you win, or do you win because you're happy? All right, Jimmy, two-time Super Bowl champ. Give me the answer on that.
Well, yeah, it really is a cool commercial because it got me to thinking, you know, and obviously I was happy when we won. But then I got to thinking, well, as a coach, you know, I was a lot better, you know, when I was upbeat, when I was positive, when I was happy, when I had my crew around me. And so, you know, we would work all day long, and then at night we might go have a beer together. We bonded. So when I was happy, maybe that's why we won. Now, those good players helped too. And you know, really, with 95 calories and 2.6 carbs, it kept me slim and trim, and that kept me happy.
Of course. You look better, you feel better. Plus, Dave Wannstedt makes everybody happy. You hang around Dave Wannstedt, we're all happier.
Right.
Jimmy Johnson, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Jimmy, as always, I